Mr. Primetime.
How you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
Hanging in there. Thursday night.
Thursday night, another long week in the books. It's
This week is
crazy.
dragged, bro.
Dude, I'm exhausted, man. It's just like days like keep running into like I'm just always busy, but it's just like some days you're like, God damn, like I'm drinking coffee like a madman.
See, I usually like it when it's like that, having just something to do, something to keep you going and just staying busy.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is this topic tonight is nothing to do with football, nothing to do with UFC, music, nothing like that. This is completely off topic, and we're probably not going to answer questions about that kind of stuff. This topic is completely about mental health, something Primetime and myself are both very big advocates for. Anxiety, depression, coping with it, some of the struggles with it. And it's a topic that people are very uncomfortable talking about, including both of us. But it's something that has to be done because too many people struggle with it. Too many people take dire actions when they struggle with it. And there's just got to be ways to help cope with it because it's just, it's just too many unfortunate things that are happening in this world right now, especially now in a pandemic when people are quarantined and stuff.
Bingo. And like you just said, it's very uncomfortable to talk about it. I damn sure am not comfortable talking about this, especially, in front of a lot of people. But, if it's something that can help one or two other people to realize that, hey, you have a lot of other people out there that are in a very similar situation that go through, some of the same things you're going through, some of the same thoughts. Maybe we have, something that we do that can help you guys, or even vice versa. Maybe there's something you guys do that, we might look at and say, I never would have thought of that. So just kind of opening up the discussion. And, I think there's nothing but positives to gain from it.
Yeah, and and the thing is, people are scared to talk about it. People are scared because it's just like you're worried about what's the reaction going to be. Is it a sign of weakness? Are people going to talk shit about me? How is it going to be handled? Is it frowned upon? And it's a stigma in society because we had a channel that we started. Let's talk mental health, and you can't monetize it if you mention suicide or suicide prevention. The videos get taken down, or they don't want to get sponsored. They don't want it's very difficult to do. That's why we're not trying to do it here. But it's just like it's such a thing people got to talk about. And from my own personal experience, I've had 6 friends now that have committed suicide, and they suffer from depression. And what the sad thing is, it's always once it happens, it's like, oh, how could we have helped? Well, the helping is having people feel comfortable talking about it, and that's the most important thing. Because how many you're blindsided by it, and not even just, these are close friends of mine, but then not even that, you see celebrities, whether it's Anthony Bourdain or Chester Bennington, or how many people where it happens, like, oh shit. And then the whole world's like, for 3 days, oh, they crank out, you call the hotline, call this, call that, call everything else, and then everybody forgets about it. And then what really resonated with me the most is that when we started doing all these streams, people are reaching out to us, dude, all the time, direct message. I was getting messages in my, Twitter, Instagram, everything. Hey, man, thanks a lot. I'm really struggling right now, but this is a good distraction. And I'm like, listen, you got to find distractions. And that's one of the biggest things. It's like when you're struggling with depression sucks. And it's like people don't understand it because they're like, hey, man, you have all these things going for you, all these good things happening in your life, and you don't see that. You just see everything is just like, I don't want to get off the couch. I don't want to leave the house. I hate everything. I don't want you don't want to do anything. It doesn't matter what's, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what your world is. You could have the job, the car, the house, all this shit. And it doesn't mean shit to you because you can't get out of your own head where you're not happy.
Yeah, and a few things. I mean, I think one of the reasons a lot of people are, struggling to talk about it is this, this social media craze that's happened over the last 10 years, where it's like everybody has the need to always portray their life as being perfect, when deep down on the inside, we all have tons of shit going on. It's just a matter of what you're comfortable, I guess, showing to your friends or to your coworkers. Like me as a teacher, I don't want to post shit about being depressed or being anxious, because then I don't want to go into work the next day and, have my coworkers looking at me funny. But again, kind of pointing it back to what you were saying, that's how you start to normalize the conversation where people don't feel that way about talking about, whatever it is that they're going through. So I think that's a big thing. Like you mentioned, also having distractions, being able to do this show and just keeping your mind occupied. I think that's one of the biggest things. The more time that you have to isolate and just downtime, not doing shit, that's where I usually have those, whatever those feelings are, depressed, anxious, whatever. I'm more prone to that when I'm not doing something, when I'm not active. And so it's it's kind of like that roller coaster where when you're at your high, you're on adrenaline, you're working hard, we're doing all these shows, we're, creating content, we're enjoying doing it. And then you hit that low eventually. And it's like, you isolate, you don't want to do shit. You're not getting joy out of the things that you normally do. And so how do you get out of it quicker? Once you start to identify it, how can you, take that, that low, which is usually maybe a week, 2 weeks, and cut it to a day or two. And sometimes I'm good at it. Other times that shit, it just lingers. And so as you get older, I think you start to know the answers. but it's just a matter of, you actually putting in the work to kind of get over that hump and, get back into a positive space.
Well, you touch on something that's really, really important, and it's social media. And social media, I think, for the positives is of getting your latest news and all this stuff, and interacting with maybe your favorite celebrity or whatever it is, or people all across the world, like we've been fortunate enough to do. It's people feel obligated to keep up with the Joneses. It's like if you feel that pressure to like, oh, my neighbor bought a new pool, I better go buy a new pool, or my neighbor bought a new car, or I got to do this, or this person's always going out to restaurants, so I better go out to restaurant. I better always present myself as being successful and happy, no matter what I'm going through in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, like, and the weird thing is that you see these people. I'll be blunt. I see people, friends of mine on Facebook, posting all this shit. You think their life is great. And I'm like, bro, I just talked to you yesterday. You can't pay your fucking bills. Your marriage is going to shit. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you portraying all these things? Like, just be yourself. Like, just be yourself. And we even see it, like, again.
Well, no, just real quick. I mean, I think that's part of it, though. Like, so many people would rather have the approval of others, and in the eyes of others, be a success than to genuinely have like their own happiness and be happy with whatever they're doing in their life. It's more about what does the outside world think of me.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the one thing. That's like you worry, like we always want to be accepted by everybody. We want to be accepted into all these different groups, these social groups. You want to be like, if somebody goes on your social media page, you want to be like, oh, look, this person's doing a great life, doing all these great things, going on vacation, doing all this other stuff. Yeah. And the people that don't do that, you sit back, you look like, man, my life really sucks, man. Like I don't do all these things. I don't do all these things, but like everybody has struggles, everybody has skeletons, and nobody really shares them. So you always think like, man, am I the only struggling like this? Like, am I the only fucking person that it's 75 degrees and sunny and I don't want to leave my fucking house because I hate everything and I can't get out of my own head. Yeah. And then you're like, and then the whole thing is you talk about it, and then sooner or later, like people reach out to you, start talking to other people, and you're like, dude, other people have the same situation. And when I learned about this the most is when a very good friend of mine committed suicide, and we're like, how the fuck did this happen? And there was all these warning signs, dude. They were everywhere. And he was scared to talk about it. And the reason why we knew he was scared to talk about it, he told his girlfriend he was scared to talk about it. So it was like, he's like, yeah, but I'll get through it. Like, it's just my thing. And it's like, dude, we got to stop being a society like that. We have to. And it can't be frowned upon. It's like, listen, you know what? If you have a problem, reach out to somebody. And I know it sounds very easy to do, but if it's not somebody that like reach out to, there's hotlines, there's phone numbers, hey, you want to message us? We don't judge. I don't judge anybody, dude. I've gotten tons of messages, but it's just realizing that you're not alone. Like people will understand. And like, I think the whole thing is the reaction is always gonna be negative. Like, man, you're a fucking weirdo. Like, how could you have problems? And what you're gonna realize is people will be like, you know what? I want to help you, or I can understand, or I can actually relate to you, which is even, better.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the reasons like I'll tend not to talk about things like when I'm going through it is just because I don't want the attention. I don't want people, constantly asking me, oh, you're all right, how you doing? Like, especially when you've been through it so many times, you kind of feel like, all right, here we are again. Like I knew this was going to happen eventually after, like 2 months of good or whatever, there's that eventual fall. So it's like, all right, I know how to get out of it. I know what I need to do to get out of it. So I don't want to draw attention to myself. I don't want to lull in this. I just want to try to break out of it and do what I need to do. But again, like when you start to isolate yourself and distance yourself from friends, family, or whoever, and you kind of sit in that place, that's where it becomes a problem. And even more so now over the past year with everyone being isolated, I think it's much easier for certain things like that to go under the radar. Like you just said, I mean, like I had a friend, lose somebody really close to them a couple of weeks ago, tragic fashion. It sucks. And we had a friend of ours that we used to tailgate with, a couple of years ago, same shit. And, sometimes it's just people that you would never think, like, what eventually pushed them over the edge. Like, I was just talking to them the other day. They seemed fine. Yet, they weren't comfortable saying, hey, I'm going through this. I need help with X or whatever. So.
And that's what it is. It's just having it takes courage, man. It is not easy to say, you know what? And I'm to the point where I'm like, I just don't give a fuck, dude. I don't care what nobody thinks about me. I honestly don't care, because it's like, why hide things? If it's a struggle, it's a struggle. And maybe the struggles that I experience will help somebody else. Like, hey, you know what? I had the same things. How do you cope with it? And I learned a lot of things myself that you have to learn, dude, because you got to find ways to cope with it. Quitting's never an answer. Giving up's never an answer. As much as you want to at times, you're like, dude, you got to find a way. And you learn about a lot of different things about yourself and your surroundings too, where if you hang around a certain group of people, whoever it is, and they're not very supportive, they're always negative, they're always like, they're not a very productive group or whatever it is. Sometimes for people, it's not a good environment to be in, where it's like, you know what? I need to be around more positive people. If people are always telling you whatever it is, you can't do this, or I hate this, can't do that, and it's always bringing you down, it affects your mood and affects your mindset, you become that. So then you got to find yourself, you know what? I want to be in a different situation where it's like, I got to get out of the situation, go into a more positive or more inspiring environment where I can, you know what I mean? Like, whether it's the gym, going for a run, going around your family, going around friends, like calling a buddy, hey man, let's go hang out and let's have a beer in the back on the deck and talk for a second. Like, not being around that culture environment where you know brings you down, where it's just like, this is not healthy at all. And to me, it's a lot of your surroundings, and it's identifying that, and it's finding the quick outlet. And, you know, for me, obviously, like I tell you, it's like, dude, I run. I got in the pandemic, dude, I was running behind a school just to get out of the fucking house. Like, I got to get out and just sweat it out and get rid of that rage or whatever it is, but find ways to cope and then reach out to somebody, like text you or text whoever, like, hey man, what are you doing? Like, just start the conversation, whatever. This doesn't have to be like, hey man, I'm depressed. Like, hey man, I'm bored. What are you up to? Like, get that conversation going.
See, sometimes also I feel like not all the time, but sometimes I feel like it could be the opposite, where kind of taking my mind away from whatever it is, because like it's just something that I dwell on, or something that I keep going to. There's no point in me talking about it again. The situation hasn't changed. I just need to talk about something else. I need to talk about football.
Yep.
I need to have my outlet to talk sports or whatever it is. So for some people that works. Other people, they'll suppress something so much and just never address it. And at some point, eventually that shit's just gonna, it's gonna bubble over.
Yep. No, it's true, dude. And like, I know exactly when I'm going down those moods, and I'm like, oh, fuck, here I go again. But it's like, all right, you recognize it, and then it's like, listen. And I've read a lot, dude. Like, because to go through all this shit, I went through really, really bad anxiety about like 15 years ago, where I had to change my job because I was that anxious. Like, and like the remedy for the doctor was load me up on Xanax, and I'm like, wait a minute, just for me to go through work and get through my work day, I got to pop 2 Xanax. I'm like, I don't want to be a fucking pill popper. Like, I'd rather not do that. So then I'm like, all right, I'm going to settle for less and bring myself down because I don't want to be over medicated all the time. So you mess with that game, then it's like, all right, let me research and read and figure out other ways to handle things. You got to just kind of work with stuff, and it's not easy, but it's just like, you got to make a commitment to yourself, man. Listen, life is short. And again,
no, I was going to say, I mean, medicine, I think, is different for everybody. I mean, I went through a period from middle school through early college where I didn't take anything, even though I knew I probably needed to. All the signs were there. I would have, anxious episodes, and like, I didn't know what was going on. I knew I probably needed to talk to a doctor. I knew I probably needed to be on medicine, but I ignored it. And, I was able to get by. I was able to function. It didn't, drastically affect my life. But eventually, when it started to, and I was, trying to find a job, trying to graduate and start doing my student teaching and stuff like that. I wanted to be a coach. I was getting incredibly anxious during all of these things. And I would have those nights where I couldn't sleep. I was depressed. I didn't know if, the anxiety was triggering the depression, or the depression was triggering the anxiety, or vice versa. Yeah. But it was affecting me where I couldn't sleep. I was getting 3-4 hours sleep every night. So eventually I caved in. And, I've been on medicine ever since, but I don't take it all the time like I should. There's still some of those weeks/months where I want those raw emotions. I want to feel just, like I'm normal, like I'm not groggy, or like I'm medicated, like the medicine's making me happy. I want to make my own actions make me happy. But at the same time, like, it's scientifically proven, some people, they just don't get the kind of chemicals that they need in their brain in order to feel happiness. So if that's you, I mean, go to a doctor, see if something works for you. And, if it doesn't, if you feel like shit, or if it's not helping you, you don't have to keep taking it. But I think for a lot of people, it's something that can help, once you get the right medicine. Because I didn't get the right one the first time I started either.
No, you're absolutely doing that. That's what made me crazy. It was like, I got to take fucking 2 Xanax just to get through work. So if I didn't take it, I would freak the fuck out. I'm like, wait, I didn't take my Xanax. So then I got anxious about not taking it, which made my anxiety 3 times worse. And then I would be to the point where if I had like to do a meeting or something like that on Tuesday night, I couldn't sleep, dude. I was anxious out of my fucking mind, sweating, heart racing, all this stuff. And then I get depressed because then I know I couldn't, like, I would completely avoid certain situations. I would freak the fuck out. I would go drive myself crazy. And I was like, dude, so then I had to change my whole fucking work life, like my occupation. I had to change everything full bore, and nobody would understand it. Like, dude, you're anxious. Get fucking over it. Are you seriously? You're a bitch. You're a wimp. You're this. You're that. You're weak. You're all this shit. And I'm like, you don't get it. I'm like, I'd be like, if I had to go wherever, dude, I would freak. Like, I was around like big public settings, like a wedding or something like that. I would freak the fuck out. And I'm a people person, dude. I love being around people in general. Anywhere in public, I was freaking out for like 3 years. I couldn't handle it. And it was like, all right, now what do I do? And then I would, in days in advance, you lose sleep, then you get depressed. Then I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna have a couple drinks before I go out, calm myself down. Never a good idea. You don't know what to do to handle it. And then I just read and research and try to find different things. And over time, you figure it out. But, it took me like a decade, dude, to figure this shit out. It did nothing that over
Yeah, I'm in that same boat a lot of the time, especially with a lot of the work that I do. Being in a school setting, being a coach. Every year I have to give an end of the year speech in front of tons of people, tons of anxiety with that. Like, there's a lot of different things that just trigger those different anxieties, and it's not even just social situations for me. Like, that's a big part of it. I think for me, I've gone through a lot of what you've gone through, but a lot of it's also just mental, life, purpose. Why the fuck are we here? Especially now, over the past year, you're seeing like every night on the news, it's just fucking tragedy after tragedy, people dying, and it makes you think, especially as you're watching loved ones. Whether you got family that's getting older or going through X, Y, or Z. It seems like everybody's always going through something, and it's easy to just internalize that and dwell on that instead of the positive days where you're living in the moment, you appreciate life, you're just living day by day, enjoying the time that you have. So like I said, it's kind of like that roller coaster where like when you're at the top, everything's great, you're living in the moment, you're motivated to do things that you love, and you're living a life that you enjoy. But then when you reach that bottom, it's like, how the fuck do you get out of here?
Yeah, and that's the hardest part too, is when you're there. You're like, oh man, like this is you feel like overcome with it. And this is where again you go back to social media, and then especially over the last year, you watch the news, dude, and all the fucking shit with politics and all the shit with vaccines and this and that. And it was just, it's hard to not be alarmed because you worry about your family, obviously. You're worried about yourself. You see people dying, you see all this uncertainty, you see all this chaos around you. And I'm a single guy that lives alone. Not ideal, dude. And you're the same boat. You shit, you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't want to watch TV because I'm tired of all the negativity. I'm tired of all the panic. I'm tired of all the fear. You go on social media, you see more of it. You're surrounded by it. You're like, how do I escape all this madness to calm myself down? And dude, I would go on YouTube and I would look up fights. I'd go watch concerts. I'd just do anything. And dude, put the phone down. Like for a long period of time, I would escape. So I would just put my phone down. Like we're all like creatures of our cell phone. We're on it 15 hours a day, tweeting and shit. I'm like, phone down, TV off. I'm going to escape with either Netflix, YouTube, a concert, something, or long walk. I need to just deplug and unplug from all this shit because it's not helping. You know what I mean? Like you want to remain aware of what's going on in the world, but sometimes you just got to unplug. Like, listen, man, this is not putting me, like, my mental state is crazy. I'm not like this is not making it any better. It's making it worse.
And that's again, like, when we're at our best, I feel like life is just one big distraction, whether it's, like family that's keeping you occupied, if you have that, or, a job that you really love, or entertainment, whatever it is that you do that you enjoy, that's able to occupy your time. Like, that's what you have to find. You have to be able to latch on to something like that. Otherwise, you just kind of sit in those moments where you're like, what the fuck am I doing? You're watching negativity on TV or social media, or you're just, dwelling on things that aren't healthy for you. And, I think one of the first videos I did when we started the mental health channel was just kind of on the idea of death. I feel like that's like what triggers most people as far as anxiety goes. Just knowing that there's like an end to end, and you see it all the time between like your own family as they get older, on the news, or friends when shit happens. Like you're constantly surrounded by it, and so it develops, I think, this attitude of like, well, what's the point? Why am I here? What's the point of all this shit if the end is just going to be the same as everybody else? Whereas like on the good days, like I said, you're able to look at that a little bit differently and say, you know what, I only have one life. Why not live it up, enjoy it to the maximum, experience new things, get out and have fun. So that's the battle, I feel like.
Yeah, and the other battle too is like, looking at your life and be like, damn, I'm not where I want to be or where I'm supposed to be. Like, oh, I should have this and I should have that and I should have this and everybody else has what I want. And you can't think like that. You just can't, because like what happens is you don't realize all your own personal successes. You don't realize what you actually do have and all those little things that we actually take for granted. You know what I mean? We have all these things, but then you're like, oh, this is where well, I don't have that. I don't have this. I don't have that. Then you're like, oh, I'm depressed again. Like, you're like.
And yet a lot of people that are at the top, that have everything, that have all the money, the family, the house, and the cars, they're as depressed as anybody else, and they're just able to hide it with all that other shit. They don't have anything of like authenticity that fulfills them in any way.
That's where it's like you got to just take a real like like a look and just be honest with yourself. Listen, like, obviously, would you want to be whatever position you're in? Would you want to be 10 times better than you are? Of course. But you realize where you are, and day by day, you find ways to get better every day and embrace certain things, embrace little successes. Sometimes it's like, you know what? It's 8:00 in the morning. By 2:00, do something that improve yourself or something, whatever. Like, it could be a short-term success, short-term goal, long-term goal, midterm goal, but find little things and keep everything realistic. I can't be like, man, I really want a Lamborghini. If I don't get by tomorrow, my life fucking blows. No, but you'd be like, hey, I got to, you got to just like, I think sometimes you got to worry about more about yourself and your own well-being and not care what everybody else is doing, what everybody else thinks, and what everybody else has. Like, I just don't care, dude. I honestly don't give a shit what kind of house you have. I don't care. As long as you're happy with yourself and you're happy, you're healthy, and you're good to everybody else. That's all. That I'm more impressed by that. I'm more impressed by a genuine person that actually cares about one another and helps other people than how many cars you have, how much money you have, what your job. That shit doesn't impress me. And the other thing is, like, you got to just honestly, I don't really care what other people think about me. I just don't care. Like, if you obviously try to be a good person and you take care of yourself and do good shit. But listen, man, if we do a show and people's like, I hate your guts, I don't really care. If you like us, that's great. But like, whatever, it's like you can't get. I don't really worry about like this. And when we did our videos, like the Let's Talk Mental Health videos, it wasn't easy, dude. Because I knew I put my shit on Facebook, and I got God knows how many friends on there. And it was like, all right, it's out there, and take it or leave it. Because you know what? For every person that may judge us or think about shit, there's somebody you're probably helping. And that's what actually happened. We started getting messages like, hey, man, you know what? This actually helps because now I can think something else that I can, figure out how to handle things or how, like, I'm not alone in this. And that's the one thing you realize is we're not alone, because it's a lot of people that struggle with this shit and they've never had an outlet or platform to say it because they don't know what to say or when to say it.
And that's something I wish personally that I was able to improve upon a little bit more, where I know there are still moments where I care what other people think to a certain extent, in the sense that, unlike you, I didn't post those mental health videos on my Facebook because, again, like, I work with a lot of different people, and, you wonder, all right, the wrong person sees it, how are they going to judge you? So, like, certain things like that, yeah, I still have to a certain degree. But then again, like, there's other days where, I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling the anxiety or depression, and I literally could give a fuck what anybody thinks, so I think it's really just, kind of like a day by day thing, week by week, whatever kind of mood you're in, that's kind of how you respond to certain things.
Yeah. And like, you just like, I've learned to just appreciate a lot more things, even like the one thing, a story that resonated with me was my father's boss, very, very successful guy, worked his ass off, dude, 60, 70 hours a week, always worked, made great money, and just kept saving. Like, oh, when I retire, I'm going to do this. When I'm going to retire, I'm going to do this. And was like, he had plan after plan after plan, dude. He had it all. Very successful, very prominent person. Dude retired, and very shortly after that, he passed away of a heart attack. And I'm like, this dude just lived his whole life, just with his whole intention of, he was successful and took care of his family. But like, once he retired, he's going to enjoy all these things, and never had a chance to do it. None of it, almost none of it. And my dad sat me down and told me, he said, this is something that you got to keep in mind. I'm like, listen, it's always good to have goals and ambitions, but sometimes step away from all the madness and enjoy things yourself. It doesn't have to be some grand vacation to Hawaii or some shit. But you say, you know what? Let me go enjoy this moment for myself, because you need it for your own mental well-being, dude. Like, you got to just kind of keep yourself. You got to find ways to make yourself happy.
Yeah. No, I agree, but it's also stories like that I think trigger a lot of people, where it's like, again, at any given moment, this shit could just be taken from you. It's gone, whether it's you or somebody that's incredibly important to your life. Like, at any given moment, this shit could end. And so, on one hand, yes, that's motivation to go live your dreams and enjoy your life. But on the other hand, it definitely, I think, brings, at least for some people, those thoughts of, well, what's the fucking point? I can sit on my couch, I could watch Netflix, I could isolate and not do shit, and I'm going to meet the same end result as everybody else. I mean, I know that's a negative way to look at it, but I think that's how, like, when we're down, when we're going through those, downward spirals or whatever, I think that's how we internalize a lot of things.
Yeah. See, and what I did was, I just focused on all kinds of, like, I have like all kinds of like quotes saved on my phone, like all kinds of like little inspirational shit, little memory. Like, did I have fucking tattoos all over the place? Like little with meaning to myself, where I look down, I'm like, you know what? You're right, dude. Like, little things that, your own little triggers, little things like, all right, listen, this shit sucks, but you know what? We only have so many of these days left. We're all, at some point, it's all end for all of us. Yeah. We got to find a way to make the most of it and make an impact and be positive about it, and just try to find a way to get through this, because what's going to happen is, and this is the one thing I realized for myself, is when I go through those really periods when I'm really down, when I snap out of it, I'm so fucking mad at myself. I'm like, bro, you just wasted 2 weeks dealing with this shit, where you could have did all this stuff and been, do you get like that? I do.
I feel that way
mad as hell
every single time. And even worse, as they start to add up a little bit more, and, the weeks become, multiple weeks, or, you look back 5 years and you're like, all right, I've gone through X number of months now dwelling on certain shit. The one thing I don't want to have happen is when I do eventually become 60, 70, and I'm looking back at my life to say, damn, I just wasted half of it, dwelling on shit or worried about what other people think, not living my dreams, whatever else. So, I think that's the one thing that does keep me like going a lot and gets me back into the positive space is when I am able to think in that light as I get older. I do want to be able to look back and say, I went after everything that I wanted to go after.
Yep.
I'm happy with the chances that I took. I'm happy that, I put myself out there and did things that I was uncomfortable with.
Yep.
And if I failed, if it didn't work out, so be it. I took the chance and I lived a life that I was happy with.
And that's the whole thing. It's like you want to like I try to accomplish, dude, we both do. We can try to accomplish so many goddamn things. And like I'm aggressive as hell. I get obsessed with shit. Like I'm trying to I'm working 4 jobs right now and I'm trying to do all these things. But it's like you want to accomplish things and not have the regret. Like, oh, the could have and should have. And when I go through those periods where I'm like for a couple of weeks, I'm just like, I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing that. I don't want to do this. And I get so mad. I'm like, why? Like, it's like, look at all these opportunities that we're being afforded. We're young, healthy guys. We got all this shit. We can basically do whatever we want and we got to do it, and it's like, you just kind of get that kick in the ass sometimes where it's like, all right, this is a down day, but let's not let it go 1 day to 2 days to 7 days to 2 weeks to a month. And that's the challenge.
And that's where I feel like prior to the lockdowns and COVID and everything else, it was so much easier because you had outlets, you had bars and clubs you can go out to, you had sporting events going on all the time that you could go to. Like there was always something that you could do to go out and kind of get away from it. Now I feel like more and more you're stuck in the house, for weeks on end. Yeah, some people will go out here and there. I still feel like it's not the same. The few times I have gone out, it's there's nobody out there. You're in masks and everything. It's it's not as fun as it was. So you're kind of waiting for things to get back to normal. Have that sense of normalcy. And as we're now a year later with shit being locked down, it's like, damn, I've been in the house probably 90% of my Friday and Saturday nights, doing live streams and doing other things that I enjoy, but like you're not getting out like you used to. You're not having those escapes from certain things. Like the shows become an escape, which is awesome. But as far as like the face-to-face human interactions and the socialization, it's not the same. I don't feel like.
No, I mean, you learn a lot about yourself when you're in lockdown and you have nobody. Like I don't know, was it like 6 months ago? A coworker tested positive, so I had to go for a test, and I didn't get my result for like 8 days. I'm like, so you had to stay in quarantine. I couldn't leave the house. And you really start going crazy. You're like, all right, now what? Because I can't do shit. People dropping off food at the house. Like, that's great. Cause you see, like, you look out the window, you're all excited to see a person walk by. And then you really figure out what's important to you and what you really appreciate and what you really need. What friends do you rely on? What family members do you rely on to help you get through things? And I found this quarantine, while it was really difficult, I found more appreciation for things I really, truly enjoy. And not that I tried to enjoy for others. Like, I think, honestly, a lot of people do things to try to, like, appease other people or try to fit with other people, and they don't truly enjoy it themselves. Like I have a friend that goes to the gym because they feel like they have to, because that's what everybody else does, and they want to be in shape, and they absolutely despise going. I'm like, well, it's never going to last. I'm like, well, then why are you doing it? If you truly hate doing something other than going to work, which we all have to do, then why are you doing it? Who are you humoring? It's never going to last. Then find what you truly enjoy. Whether it's playing guitar, if nobody else does it, like just say for guitar, for example, say like you want to play guitar, I obviously don't. Then you know what? You find people that do, and you say, hey man, I don't know how to play guitar. I want to play together. You want to do like you find. If you have to readjust what your hobbies are, then readjust them. But dude, like it's got to be something that means something to you.
Well, that's also another thing, like we were saying, with the whole social media thing, everybody has this image of them that they want to portray. And, for us, like we put ourselves into this box as, Jets fans, commentators, whatever. But, so many people, once they kind of fit into one box, they don't want to step out of that. All right. I'm only talking about the Jets. My followers only expect me to talk about the Jets. So I'm not going to talk about baseball. I'm not going to talk about social media. I'm not going to talk about MMA.
Come to my Twitter page, dude.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So like we kind of force ourselves into these, square holes where, like we're kind of missing opportunities to connect with other people that may have the same interests or be going through the same shit.
Yeah. And that's why I'm glad we're doing this. Like for you guys watching this for the first time, you're probably whatever. Like Kevin and I we'll talk about anything. Like we are not just Jet fans that talk about Jets. We talk, obviously we do UFC music, but like mental health is big. If there's other shit you guys want to talk about, we talk about it. Like this is the whole goal of having this platform. This is why I enjoyed so much, is having all these people we're all friends with now, whether it's just social media friends, that we can all talk about whatever we want. Like we're not, like it's an open platform where open topics, open discussions. And like if people reach, I've gotten so many messages, dude, like, hey man, what do you think about this? Dude, if you're struggling and shit, and if like talking to some hotline, or dude, you want to send me a message? I'm no expert, but I'll talk something with you. I mean, why not? We're all in this together, man. It's like we're only as good as
between the both of us. I mean, the amount of shit that we've gone through, and the amount of episodes of anxiety, depression that we've gone through, and then gotten back up here and then back down. Yeah, I mean, we've all gone through shit. So
Yeah, and the other thing too is that where it's like with all of this, it's like nobody's better than the other person. Like it's just, like even like with our channel, like we bust each other's balls and we joke around, but we never come off as like fucking experts and know-it-alls. And we know this, you don't know that. We have a lot of fun with it. But especially with mental health and like that whole bullying aspect of society where it's like people look down upon for being weak or not having this, not having that. I've never been like that in my entire life, ever.
yeah.
Like, dude, like I like to be friends with everybody, help anybody. I don't care, age, weight, size, race. I don't give a rat's ass.
Same.
You need help. I'm always willing to help somebody.
No, completely agree, dude.
You know what I mean? That's the one thing that drives me crazy. It's like, like we have a student at one of the schools I teach at. It's not very good. He struggles with all kinds of shit. Dude, we all help him. And it's like, dude, like little things, like little moments of encouragement for anybody goes so far. A good morning to somebody, a hello, how you doing? Good job. Like little words of positivity, encouragement go so far for so many people and nobody realizes it. That's the wild thing, dude. Like somebody could be having a shitty day and be like, hey man, good job with that. Or how's that doing? Whatever little thing. And that little thing, boom, can trigger something that just makes somebody feel a little better about it. It's like stupid shit like that.
And that's the funny thing, because I feel like you and me are similar in this regard, where like we're great at helping other people. We're great at giving advice and, kind of, just talking about whatever it is that, somebody needs to get over. But when it comes to ourselves, sometimes, we put ourselves near the bottom, or the advice that we give to others, we find ourselves not able to follow it ourselves. So, or at least for me, I'm in that boat most of the time.
And that's the one thing with the pandemic too, is that, I have my parents are both older. They're real high risk in terms of like health risk. So they've been stuck in the house for a year. They usually travel a lot and do all these things. They can't. So now they've been isolated in their house pretty much by themselves, other than going to the store to get food for almost a year, dude. And their mental health, dude, they're going crazy. Like they're irritable. They're cranky. They're like, like you could sense it. Like you walk in the house and you sense like the frustration and pain. And it's like these, it's tough for everybody, man. And it's like, so I try to get them, you talk to them, hang out, and try to find things to do. You sit in the backyard and talk, whatever little shit you do to occupy your mind. And it's like that, what they're experiencing now, some people have experienced for a lifetime, because like you feel like you're caged in your head for like you can't enjoy your whatever the rest of the world's enjoying. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And, I'm going through something similar with my parents now. I mean, my dad's situation with the amount that he's worked over, his lifetime, he's trying to get towards the end of retiring. They just moved, my mom, she was even working as of, a year and a half ago. And, she's struggling with like early onset Alzheimer's right now. And since the lockdown, I mean, her mental health has gone down significantly. And, it sucks. Every time I'm over there, I see, more and more decline. And it's like, fuck, that shit gets to you. It's hard not to think about that sometimes and dwell on it as you're watching, loved ones that, have been a part of your life, your entire life. It's like, shit.
It's tough, dude. Like I left my parents like 15 minutes ago. I stopped by, dude, it's 8:30 at night. I'm like, you know what? Let me stop by and say hi and see what you guys are doing. And they're like, oh, that's cool. Like they you just like anything, dude, just keep them out. Because I could see they're just like, well, the weather's nice. We went outside for a little bit. Like the kid, there's not a lot they can do, and then you just see it. And then like, and the problem is that you like, I try to like, I'm an only child. Like, I don't have any brothers or sisters. So it's like, you feel obligated to do something, dude, because you don't know what else, you don't know how to help them, and then at some point when you get in your own little space and you're down, like, you're like, oh, like, you have your own problems, you know what I mean? Which makes it tough. So it's like you're trying to juggle both. You're juggling your own stresses and kind of things, and then trying to fucking juggle how to make them happy when you're not happy with yourself.
And that's where I feel the most, like for the kids right now, just not being able to be in person in school for 5 days a week, whether they're half virtual or, half days here and there, or 2 days in person, whatever it is. I mean, being able to go to school and interact with friends and teachers or whoever, just being out of the house and, being a part of society. I mean, like that's every child's, childhood, that's what you're used to growing up, and to try to learn virtually, to be staring at a computer all day. It's no surprise that, mental health issues are on the rise right now.
Yeah, so it's definitely a topic that's people are really scared to talk about, and that's something we've always been willing to talk about. And I'm just outspoken about it. Like I honestly don't care. I think two people are struggling, and you see, and the crazy thing is, well, not crazy thing. This is, the cool thing is a lot of professional athletes and celebrities are now openly talking about it, and that goes a long way. And a lot of bands that I follow are also doing it too, whether it's Godsmack, Shinedown, Five Finger Death Punch. All these bands are openly speaking about depression, speaking about anxiety, speaking about suicide, and sharing the message. Like, listen, because if you look, a lot of these, the girl from the Pretty Reckless, the band, the Pretty Reckless, a rock band, she came out and said it. She's like, listen, they just released one of the biggest hits they've ever had. Like they went #1 on the charts, and she was depressed every day. She didn't want to leave the house. So you have people that are openly now talking about it and sharing their things. Like Megan Anderson is going to be fighting Amanda Nunes in the UFC. Megan Anderson's been openly talked about all her depression and anxiety because of all the shaming that people gave her because of being a tattooed female fighting in the UFC. Like, so I think it's so encouraging to see all people actually speaking out, and all the support they're getting for it. Like, listen, you know what? We appreciate that. And you're also helping so many people. And that momentum, I think, is really good. Like Doug Middleton with the Jets, he does a lot of things. Quincy Enunwa did it. Like, that's big, dude. When athletes feel more comfortable speaking out about
we're touching on, I mean, you know, there's a lot of talk out there that, the negative stigma that comes with mental health. I think it's the ultimate strength when you're actually able to own up to it, own up to what you're feeling, and especially in public, to be able to talk about it, to feel comfortable enough to talk about it, knowing that your story can maybe help somebody else. I think that's the ultimate strength.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, you see it. Like, I watch a lot of it. I keep, so people that follow me on Twitter, they know I'm all over that shit, man. Anything mental health, I'm on it. I comment on it. I'll spread the word. Don't really care what people think about it. If you don't like it, don't follow me. I honestly don't give a shit. But the people that are doing it, it's really, really cool, man. And it's encouraging for, that people are more accepted. And that's why I had that reaction when Jamal Adams did his shit with that. Oh, I'm depressed. I'm like, I mean, dude, the thing I hate the most is when people try to discount mental health or use it as a crutch to make themselves like shut off on a different light, and it's not genuine or not real because you can see right through it.
Yep.
And that kind of stuff really, really bothers me, man.
There's a big difference between being upset at a situation that you're in, or being sad about something, being angry about something, whatever, and actually being clinically depressed, being diagnosed as depressed or anxious, whatever it is. So I think there's a big difference with that. And like you said, with Jamal, I mean, I think it was pretty clear the way he was trying to portray himself with that. Not that I want to ever discount anybody that's saying that they have a potential mental health issue, but just the way that he went about it, it didn't seem genuine or authentic.
This is an excellent point too. And I went off on this one too. Dak Prescott went public about his depression. It was ridiculed by Skip Bayless about it. Yep. I ripped the living shit out of Skip Bayless for about a week because it takes so much, like we talked about it, dude, to put yourself out there and say, you know what, I struggle with depression, or I struggle with this in a public platform where everybody can judge you, and you're a superstar quarterback in the NFL, and you do that, and you have some fucking clown sit there and ridicule you. I'm like, dude, you're part, like, Skip Bayless is part of the problem. Like, you're legitimately part of the problem, and that problem that you are is impacting people's lives, or some people are taking their life based on the way you're treating it. Like, you're discounting somebody, like, openly talking about depression and sadness and their problems of getting through their day, and you're shitting on it, and you're part of the problem. Like, that's part of the problem.
No, absolutely. Like, as a society, I feel like we should be trying more and more to help people feel comfortable, coming out and talking about these things. And like I just said, I think it does show the ultimate leadership, the ultimate toughness to be able to talk about that. So for Skip to try to make the connection between Dak not being a leader, or, you don't want that at your quarterback position,
bullshit.
I'm like, that's bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We want to get this. I don't know if we'll probably do more of these. We've been trying to do this for a while, and it's just like, I can't, like, I had like another friend that passed away, and it's just like, damn, man, it's like, there's always that constant reminder. And the sad thing is, especially for a little while here in like Ocean County, it was a lot of young kids that were committing suicide, taking their lives. I'm like, dude, like 14 years old, 15 years old, because they're being shamed, or they were this or they were that. And it's like, dude, this is way too young. Like, why is nobody talking about it? And they're like, dude, it would get no attention. I'm like, how is this being, like, why is nobody talking about it? Like, what is the fear? Like, it's a legitimate problem, and nobody wants to talk about it. If you have a bad batch of chicken in the fucking supermarket, there's headlines everywhere. Oh, don't go to ShopRite and do this. You have kids literally that are struggling, taking their lives, and it's not a story. And I have no idea why. It drives me crazy. And it's true with Facebook. It's true with YouTube. They do not like the topic of suicide or suicide prevention on their channel or on their platform. And that's a problem too. It really is. I don't know why this is it's too prominent to be ignored. Everybody should embrace it and try to find ways to prevent it.
Yeah, especially when it's clearly on the rise. You're clearly having more and more people that are being diagnosed with depression. More than ever, more and more people going above and beyond, actually taking their own life, and taking medicine for different types of ailments. Like, it's clear, like, that this is an issue that needs to be addressed, that people need to at least feel more comfortable to to be able to talk about, whether it's in private with a doctor or their friends, reaching out to somebody, knowing, all right, this person also is going through something that I'm going through. I can contact them. Just having that point person that you could talk to, whether it's, again, again, in a public forum, on social media, or just in private, just, knowing you have somebody there that you can go talk to about whatever it is, and not taking that extra step, it's huge.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. It's just so crazy that, it's like, hopefully people feel more comfortable talking about it. And there is no easy answer to overcome any of this. Like I said, it's a struggle for many people almost every day or every other day. And it's not easy to do.
I think the
But
easiest answer is just kind of knowing that it's always going to be a struggle. It's never
yep,
something that you're going to completely get over. It's never something that you're going to beat and it's not going to come back. You'll have good months, maybe even good years, but you're going to have moments where just life smacks you in the face. And, you're going to have your days or weeks where you fall back into, that depression. Like if that's kind of been your life, chances are you're going to have moments like that throughout your life where it's going to come back. And the quicker you accept that and you identify when it's happening, how it's happening, and know your routines to get over it, I think that's the biggest step towards just kind of living a more happy life.
that's definitely true. And it's like, I'm doing right now. I learned what my triggers are. And I learn because I know what they are now. I know when I'm in that, when I fall in the rut, I know immediately what's happening. And the challenge that I have is that, people that you just like, I'm not a very trusting person in general. Like I just don't trust a lot of people for whatever reason. So when you meet somebody new or whatever else, like it's not something that you want to talk about. Like if you're in a mood, they're like, oh, like I'd rather not explain it to you. Like if I know somebody a long period of time, like a good friend, like that, I'll talk to them. Yeah. But somebody new, it's just like, listen, man, like just leave me the fuck alone because I don't want to talk about this now. And you find yourself in that little rut. You know what I mean? And it's hard to explain. It's hard to convey what's going on. Somebody that doesn't really know you. But it's like, it is what it is. So I recognize the trigger and then I recognize the things I need to do to get myself out of it as fast as possible. Like, all right, listen, I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to do shit. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to nobody. But you know what? That's not going to be the answer. So I'll do it. Like, there's been many times, dude, I didn't want to do these goddamn shows at all. Like, I would text you or even like the Tuesday night show. I'm like, bro, I don't want to do it tonight. And you're like, well, I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And then, dude, half hour into the show, we're laughing our ass.
You pushing me to do it too. Same shit.
Like there'll be times I didn't want to do shows. There's times I don't want to go train. I'm like, oh, and my training partner be like, bro, get your ass in the car. You cannot be late. I'm like, all right. And then 10 minutes in the training, dude, it's fine. Like sometimes it's just realizing that little kick in the ass you need, just getting over that little hump goes a long way. And that's
I've been able to identify the triggers. I know when I'm about to go through it. I know what the solutions are to get myself out of it. It's still just a matter of actually doing those things. Being mentally tough enough to stay in that positive routine and not make the negative one become a routine.
Yep. No, it's true, dude. It's a challenge, man, at times where it's just like, all right. And then it's like, I'll force myself to do it. Like, all right, let's just get out of the house. Let's just go. Like you'll go to like, all right, let me go to Dunkin' Donuts, get a coffee. And then it's like, all right, while I'm out, I'll go do this. It's just getting out the door, just getting to do something or just some kind of activity where it's just, you kind of change your mind a little bit. But these shows help a ton, man. So much just doing the shows and interacting and having like the escape of football. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, football, UFC, anything to talk about, to not focus on the shit that you're worried about,
Yeah, you got to have those distractions, and this show has been everything. Just being able to focus on something again that we enjoy, but also that we love doing. We love the interactions and everything else that comes along with doing the show. So it's a great outlet. It's a great escape from everything else. And kind of like you, I mean, there have been a number of shows where I definitely didn't want to do them. I definitely didn't feel comfortable coming on doing them. And then within 10, 15 minutes, the chat's going and the jokes are cracking and, we're just talking football and your mind's completely distracted. And after 3 hours of talking football, you feel good at the end of it.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, you're just like, oh, and then you're like, dude, it's just finding those things, man. So it's not easy. And I guess the thing is, everybody needs to understand that it's not always going to be easy, like you said. And there's just ways, you got to find ways to just figure out ways to just overcome it and ways to stay positive and embrace some kinds of positivity. Like I said, like I have like all kinds of meaningful tattoos and shit. I have things saved in my phone that I'll read. I'll do all kinds of stuff, man. I've tried pretty hard to keep people around me that I know that are on the right, like that are like not good for me, but like they're positive, like good, like genuine good people that aren't judgmental. Yeah. Like if you're a judgmental prick, chances are probably not gonna be friends with you. Just not going to. You know what I mean? Like there's just certain things that just aren't good for you, if you're in that situation.
No, I mean, that's life. I mean, surround yourself with good people, positive people that uplift you, that you want to uplift as well. And, I think that's a big key.
Yeah. So if there's anything you guys want us to talk about, we didn't really have a goal with this. It was just kind of like something that Primetime we started a channel a while ago, and I didn't realize all the backlash from how YouTube doesn't really they don't really encourage it much. It's just not there. It's pretty wild how they handle it. So
I didn't even know too much about that.
Yeah, dude. Because you'll you can tag it if you may have your hashtags and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you have like suicide prevention, this and that. What happened was I actually put one of my videos on this channel, and I tried to monetize it. I'm like, oh fuck it, maybe we'll get some views on it, right? And they wouldn't monetize it. They took it off.
Oh shit. Wow.
I'm like, wait a minute. So I'm like, all right. So then I got pissed. I'm like, wait a minute. So then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do a video and talk about suicide blatantly because this one it was still very raw for me, and I was really upset about it. Dude, they took it down. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's
so yeah. So that's kind of probably part of the problem too, is where society is like that, you know. So I don't know if you guys want to talk more, or if you want to cap it off, or we want to do prime time answer some.
If there's any questions that anybody has,
yeah. If you guys got any questions, we're not talking UFC, we're not talking Jets. We'll do lots more. Oh, and just for a little sidebar though, for you guys that are watching now, tomorrow night we have a surprise for you guys. Tomorrow night, our good friend Romeo has our year in review video done. So we're gonna do a viewing party prime time.
I didn't know we were doing it tomorrow. That's awesome.
Yeah, why not? I mean, what the hell? We can't talk about Deshaun Watson all the time. So I think it's like, I don't know if I haven't seen it either. I think it's like 40 minutes long, and it's all awesome. Our live streams, like the best of our live streams for an entire year. It's like a 40-minute video. So we'll debut that tomorrow night. That should be fun.
That'll be a good laugh.
So is there anything you guys want to talk about with this? We're not talking any sports, nothing else. Just talking about just like mental health, the challenges you face, things you think about it. We could do that, or we could wrap this up, and we could probably do this like, I don't know, once a week, once every couple of weeks if you want. I don't know.
Yeah,
up to you.
For me.
Let's see. What do you got? I guess I feel you that on prime time. My dad is struggling with dementia right now. It sucks. So sorry to hear that.
Dude, it is the worst thing to watch. I mean, I experienced watching it with my grandma and now a little bit with my mom. There is nothing worse than just watching like day by day, week by week, like just a slow mental decline, like repetitive behaviors, forgetting certain things, you know, not knowing who you are, like shit like that. I mean, it fucking breaks you, man.
Yeah, so it's definitely rough, man. There's like my parents too, like they're just getting forgetful now. You're just it definitely fucks with your head. Let's see. Have to stay probably. It's not. Oh, I guess Jake, I'm sorry for your loss, dude. I missed what happened, but oh, there you go. Already lost a family member during COVID. Been rough. Yeah.
Sorry for your loss, dude.
Yeah, sorry for your loss, man. No idea about that. That sucks. What do we got here? We should do this weekly. We could. If you guys, I mean, I don't know how much we could talk about each week, but we could just talk about just life in general, and mental health, and the challenges.
Or even just have a 15, 20-minute segment during one of the live streams that we do every week. I mean,
that's gonna be kind of hard, dude. Our live streams are too crazy, dude. Could you imagine? Like, we're gonna go from a heated argument, like, by the way, I'm feeling kind of depressed today. Like, dude, you out of your mind?
We could just save it for the end or the beginning, whatever. I don't know,
dude. We just keep it. Let's complete. There's no once the chat gets started. Let's be honest, dude. There's no turning back from that.
You don't think they behave?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, this is actually very true. Brandon Marshall does do a lot of that. He was actually very outspoken with his. We actually helped. We did
Project 375. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brandon Marshall was very outspoken about that, and it's great. I'm glad that all those guys do it. I'm telling you, Doug Middleton, the former safety of Jets, does a lot of really good stuff, man. He's very, very outspoken about it. Important topic. Yeah, it's a very important topic. And, and the other thing too was that I'm not gonna lie, the Chester Bennington one really got me. That was one of the, like, there's a lot of really, like, Anthony Bourdain was a big one, but Chester Bennington got me big time, dude, because I was such a big, just avid fan, but their music always kind of resonated with you and kind of powerful, and the lyrics always made sense. And the dark things he talked about, you could relate to. Even Chris Cornell, too. Like, they both, like, right? Sometimes music, you kind of go to music that kind of, like, relates to you can kind of understand, or you kind of vibe with, Chester was a rough one, dude.
And that's why it's also scary, just because, like, all right, I have some of those same thoughts. Like, is this going to be me in 5 years? Is this going to be me in 10 years? When do I get to that breaking point? Like, that shit fucked a lot of people up, I think.
Dude, that was brutal, man. Like, I was,
like you said, I mean, his music, his lyrics, I think that resonated with a lot of people. And, those were kind of his clues, his calling out to, pretty much everyone in the world that, hey, this is what I'm going through. These are my struggles, And
the fucked up thing was, like, that was like Linkin Park. There's like 4 or 5 bands I used to always rely on when I was really in, like, those shitty spots. They were the ones that got me out of it. And I was getting ready to go to a concert before he did it. Like that, like they were touring around here. They were all, like, in this area. And I was like, wow, like, the one outlet, the kind of thing that you kind of went to when you're there, did exactly what we struggle with. It's like, how crazy is that? It was just, that took me a while, man. That one, him, Chris Cornell, a couple of them were like, dude, this is just, it's rough, man. And then, like, I said, I've had personal friends, like, the stories are just, when we actually share a friend that's it's just heartbreaking, man. Like you just can't, you don't understand it, and you get blindsided by it. Like you get the phone call, you're like, what? Like you got to be kidding me, you know? And then you wonder like, how could you have helped? And how you can help is have a platform or have an environment where everybody's scared, not scared to talk about things, and be able to say, you know what, I'm not feeling well, I'm not feeling good. How can I get help? And let them say that, and like say it on a public forum and not be judged. Where say, all right, you know, listen, you know, I'm depressed, I can't get out of my own head. Can somebody help me? And not be judged, you know?
Yeah, and I think a big thing, like for me, is having some of those experiences with people that were close to me, knowing how it affected me, seeing their loved ones and how it affects them. Like I would never want to do that to my family or to people that view me as a friend or that look up to me for certain things. I would never want to put other people in that situation of saying, what could I have done more to help this person out? So I think you got to consider that too.
That's the one aftermath is like you've seen, like we had a person here that was very popular in our community that did it. And, you know, like, dude, the aftermath of it, everybody's like, dude, you just opened up a store. Like all her dreams are being fulfilled. Like she just accomplished what we all thought was like her ultimate happiness, right? Like there's actually a picture of her in her store, like in her world. Like, dude, that's like awesome. Like you're so happy for her. And you're like a week later, like, what? Like, how does this happen? You know what I mean? Like, how do we all not understand this? And then how did she not be able to reach out to all of us when we're all like, especially now in technology, dude, I could text you now. You're getting it in 3 seconds. Like the avenue to communicate with people is so much easier now where it's like, sometimes that phone call could be very hard to make. Like, hey man, yo, prime time, I'm fucking depressed. I feel like shit. I'm really in a bad spot. You may not want to do that. Now you don't have to, dude. You can send a text. You could do a direct message to somebody. You could send a fucking Facebook Messenger. All these different things to do. That's not your voice, which is just typing or an email. Hey man, you know, like, it's so much easier to communicate with people now more than ever. So if you don't feel comfortable making a phone call, use all these other things just to reach out to a friend. And it doesn't have to be, hey, you know what? I'm really depressed. Like, hey, prime time, I think the Rangers are terrible. And just get the conversation, get a conversation started to get you distracted from it.
That's exactly what it is. I mean,
that's why I bother you all the time, man. I say bullshit.
Definitely helps.
So let's see.
There was one comment here that I wanted to.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention because you get distracted so easily, but you can finally go for it.
Yeah, here it is. So I've actually heard like some stuff about not taking like mushrooms as far as like going on an actual trip with it, which I've actually heard does help some people with like, major anxiety or PTSD and stuff like that. But I've also heard that I guess they're trying to use like micro doses of it with the active ingredient. I think it's like a psilocybin or whatever. And apparently that is emerging as some kind of new medicine that might help people, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I know people that use like medical marijuana to help them get through a lot of shit too, because they're like they crazy like I understand people like to smoke and shit like that, but like I know people that have very bad anxiety that just for them to function through a day, to actually just get through a day, they have to smoke.
I think with anything, whether it's with like marijuana or with alcohol, it's all about, can you use it in moderation? Can you only use it when you need to go to sleep or you just need to reduce your anxiety versus making it something that you do every single day, every single night? It becomes a crutch or a habit. I think that's the biggest thing. And I know for a fact, like for me, I've fallen into those patterns where it's, every single day for a couple of weeks, that's what I'm doing at night to fall asleep because I can't fall asleep any other way. And that's when I realized, all right, I got to change something up. I got to, change my sleeping pattern somehow. I got to force myself to stay up all night so that I'm ridiculously tired the next night. Like just doing certain things like that to kind of reset it. I think really helps.
Dude, I'm pounding like God knows how many CBD gummies and shit and all kinds of things to try to get some sleep. I can't sleep. My mind is just constant like, and it's like I stress myself out, and then I'm stressed about my stress, and then I'm so stressed out that I'm stressed that I can't sleep, and then like my mind is just endless where I can't shut anything off, and make myself completely miserable.
Sleep is the number one, I think, biggest problem for me because like once you put your head down to the pillow, like all those different thoughts and things that you dwell on, like that's when they come back. And then you're up for 2 hours and then you only get 3 to 4 hours sleep. You're tired the next day. It creates this cycle where you feel like shit. You're not motivated. You're tired. You just want to sit on the couch. Like it all starts with the sleep.
You just don't feel good.
Sleep. Yeah. You feel so much better when you get a good night's sleep.
You're this happened to me.
All sorts of shit like that.
What's today? Today's what? Thursday today?
Thursday. Yeah.
So that it was Monday and Tuesday. Like Monday night, dude, it's like we do our stream, whatever, all that shit. And it's like, dude, it's like midnight. I can't sleep. I'm like, oh my God, I'd be up at 5:30. Now it's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So now I'm like, if I take CBD gummies now, like I'll wake up, I have to drive an hour to go to work. So I'm gonna be groggy. So I can't do that. I get no sleep.
Yeah.
Go all through work Tuesday. We do our show Tuesday night. I can't sleep again. And now it's like you have all this anxiety and all this shit building up, and you're exhausted. Like your body's just tired. Like, dude, I don't give a shit if you're like depressed. Like your body's just like, I need sleep, dude. Like we can't keep going like this. Coffee's only gonna do so much. It's even less healthy for you. It's even worse. It's like you're like almost like tripling your problems just because you can't sleep.
Go through the exact same shit, dude. Sleep has always been like the biggest
dude.
problem for me.
It is the worst, man. And like I said, you don't want to become like, for a while I'd take like ZQuil and shit and NyQuil and all these different things, but it's just
I've done
like
that too. You don't feel much better with that either, especially
no,
you
feel worse.
Yeah.
Absolutely feel worse. So let's see. We'll go through some of the comments, see some recommendations here, which I'm always down. You guys got recommendations of things you got to talk about? I'm completely cool with it. We got a joke. Only cooking with primetime calms me.
We got to start doing more of that, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, man. Hunter, we're pretty outspoken about a lot of things, dude. This is one that we do, and I know that when we started doing videos, I lost a bunch of followers. Like, I'm like, dude, you know what? The whole stick to sports thing does not apply to either one of us. Like, we're pretty much diverse with a lot of things, so not to worry about that. Let's see. Like the one big thing is to encourage people to get help. There's nothing wrong with seeking out a therapist or just talking to anybody, dude. Talk to a friend. Like, sometimes a therapist is very intimidating where it's like, you got to go see a doctor and you're worried about all that. Start out with talking to a family member, a friend, or somebody else. And you have to gravitate to that. It's fine. Or understand that they're not going to, it's.
I think to be honest, I think a therapist could work for a lot of people. I mean, if I wasn't, just so lazy, I probably would go see one. I've never seen one, but I do think for certain people, it could be a pretty good help because there might just be certain topics or things that you don't feel comfortable talking about with a friend or a family member, just things that you might not want them to know or whatever. And, for a therapist, it's just somebody, it's a blank slate, somebody that doesn't know you, that, you might not feel is judging you at all. And, they're a medical professional. They'll be able to give you sound advice. If you need medicine, they can help you with that. So, I think for some people, a therapist may be the right thing to do. But for others, you have friends, you have family, no point not reaching out to those people.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely difficult. Definitely difficult. Let's see. We're not talking any sports, so we're going to skip those. Let's see. I'm late and just joined. What's up, Rutgers? Do you guys have any tips for motivating yourself to do things? I set goals, man. I set certain goals to do certain things. Short-term goals, long-term goals. And I think the most important thing is they're ones that are actually achievable. Nothing that's so far-fetched that's not something I can never accomplish. Say, for example, like started out running. It was like, all right, I want to do 3 miles. Then it's like, I want to do 5. Then I want to do 10. Then I want to try a half marathon or whatever else, or I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to do 100 steps a day or whatever. Like I do certain things like that. I kind of just set like attainable goals that keep me kind of moving along. I don't know. What do you do?
I'm great at setting goals, but I don't always follow them. I tend to do it for a week or two, kind of like the betting videos. I'll do it for a week or two, and then
those things.
Exactly. So I think for me, it's just more about trying to go day by day. Recognize, all right, I didn't have a good day yesterday. I didn't work out. I didn't wake up early. I didn't post a video. I didn't write an article or do whatever I was supposed to do that day. So I try to fix it the next day. But I try not to be too hard on myself when I do have one of those lulls, or whether it's a day or a week, whatever. And I try to be able to identify it. I try to snap myself out of it as quickly as possible. I know what my positive routine is. So I think having a routine, waking up early, working out, doing things to, keep your mind active, getting out of the house, all those things I think are important. Read 30 minutes of, positive quotes every day. Like have a routine that works for you, that makes you feel good, and just be able to identify when you're not in that routine and you're starting to do things that kind of veer off from that.
Also, the things that you're trying to do, make sure it's something you actually enjoy. Like it can't be something that, like, if you hate to run, don't try to motivate yourself to run when you hate it, because it's just not gonna. It's got to, if these are things that it's got to be something you truly enjoy yourself, that you actively have a passion for.
What if you hate running, but you feel good after you run? Because that's me.
Yeah, I mean, well, they try something that gives you that same rush. Find like lift weights or hit bags or do whatever. Like we know people now that like they're like making videos and doing jet stuff should be enjoyable. If it's a grind for you, it's never gonna last. So it's like, oh, I gotta be motivated to make videos today. Dude, it should happen naturally, man. You should actually want to do it because it's supposed to be fun.
Yep.
Like what we always say, when it stops becoming fun, we're not gonna do it anymore because it's not worth it.
Bingo.
So motivation for me a lot of times is that, like, just say tonight, like we all like to go training. Like I know if I do all these certain things, then you can train, you can do other things. It's hold yourself accountable, set achievable goals, and make sure it's things that you enjoy doing, man. It's really, really important.
Completely agree.
Let's see. Tomorrow night, prime time. What time tomorrow night? 8 or 9?
I could do 8 if you can. It's up to you.
Let's do 8. All right. I suffer from panic attacks and major anxiety. I promise your cure is Valerian. I don't know. Look on. Yeah, I have no idea about those things.
I'll check it out. I've never tried it, but yeah, I'm on. I used to be on Lexapro. That shit didn't make me feel good. I take Cetraline now, just like more for the mood, and then Adderall actually believe it or not, that actually helps me a lot with anxiety and things like that. Just more like keeping me focused, having energy. Again, I think that probably doesn't help me with the sleep at the end of the night, but it does help me, I think, a little bit.
Let's see. Tyson, the problem for me was never having it and getting to the point of understanding how to deal a lot of steps. Problem was never having it and getting to the point of understanding how to deal a lot of steps. Prime time, your thoughts.
Never having what?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I was understanding it. Let's see. Let's go next one. Getting out in nature is huge. Humans were not meant to live in the concrete jungle. Dude, I tell you what, that's true, man. Like I get out and I go for like walks, hiking, anywhere, reservoirs. Dude, it's just a whole different, it's like the fresh air, the breathing. It's just like a little escape. And the weird thing is like you see little things, be a deer or bird or some shit. Like, oh, you know what? A squirrel. It's just, yeah, it's nothing more real than this, man. It's probably the most real talk we probably had in a year on this channel.
Yep.
Let's see. Both of you guys are talented people we have as a part of our family. Inspiration. Oh, of course, Cody. No problem, dude.
Appreciate
We're all in
man.
this together, man. Definitely all in this together. Oh, you got fair play to you guys for doing the show. I'm so glad you have your channel. Yeah, man. That's why when we do this show, we'll make sure we identify it as off topic. So if it's something that you're not interested in, you don't have to log in. Like, I don't want to, I'm here to watch Tyson and Primetime fight about Darnold. Well, you're not going to hear that in this. We'll make sure we identify what this is, so you're not blindsided by this. Some people don't like talking about it, don't like hearing about it. So yeah, that was a rough one, man. That was definitely and I was with you, Vince. I was the same thing. City Field and Hershey Park. I was going to both of those. So let's see. Worst part of everything is being alone for so long since COVID. You guys have been like good friends who visit me every day. Thanks, brothers. Dude, it was the same for me, man. Especially when you're not leaving the house. You're not like I was for a long period of time. I was working from home, so I wasn't even leaving the house to go to work. I think you're in the same boat. You weren't doing the same thing.
Yeah, from March until June last year, I was working from home every day, doing like the virtual teaching thing, and then the entire summer, all we were doing was the live streams and stuff like that. I wasn't teaching in the summer, so I usually coach in the summer as well. I wasn't doing that, so I was fucking going crazy. I didn't have shit to do.
Yeah. I found my mom. Oh, dude, John, very sorry to hear that, man. Very sorry to hear that. That's just the pain of that. I can't imagine it. Like I've had friends, very good friends that have done that, to have a family member. I can't imagine, man. So that's pretty crazy, man. Sorry to hear that. Do you guys think you're mentally stronger now after the past year, or was this all major negative for yourselves? I think I'll speak for myself. I don't think I'm mentally strong because I think it forced me to be. I had to learn a lot about myself because I was by myself all the time. Like I had to figure out ways to keep myself going in the right direction. And from that, I made a lot of, I think, progress. I mean, I still struggle, but not, I think it was definitely learned a lot, man. I don't know what you think, Prime Time.
I'm going to answer that honestly, to be determined. I really don't know yet. Until things like get back to normal, I think it's going to be hard to determine like how I react to things being back to normal. Am I able to kind of put this past year behind me? All the bad habits that I got into of, just kind of isolating, being comfortable isolating, being in the house all the time. Am I able to just kind of put that in the back burner and get back to a normal life? If so, then yeah, I mean, I think it definitely would have made both of us a little bit stronger, and it tested, I think, everybody, not being able to have a normal life and go out and do things that you're used to, not being able to see family all the time and, go on dates and go out with friends, whatever. So yeah, as long as I think I'm able to get back to that normal kind of life, whatever the new normal is going to be, yeah, I'll probably look back and say it made me stronger. But for right now, I think it's hard to say that.
Thank you both. Good or bad, football is a much needed distraction. We look forward to your live feeds. Thank you for discussing this topic, as many of us are trying to cope with a lot. No, thank you, Sean. Thank you guys for all joining us, man. Like this helps all of us, And our goal with these kind of videos is let everybody know what's going on, and that you're not alone. And if like there could be like 75% of this doesn't apply to people. Like, it doesn't apply to me. I don't have these problems, and dude, more power to you. That's great. But then the other thing for you is that the people that this does not apply to, keep an eye out for people around you, and they reach out to people you haven't talked to in a while. Like, you never know. And that's one of the biggest regrets I have is one of my friends that did pass away that I never kept in touch. Like we kept in touch, but nowhere's near enough. And it drove me crazy. Cause I'm like, dude, we have these fucking phones in our hand all the time. Yeah. One simple text, one hello, hey, how's it going? Let's go get a beer. Or one little thing. It's like, dude, how hard is it to do? I can do it right now. Right. Yeah. Yep. So I think if this doesn't apply to you, then you should, keep those like around you in your mind. Like, hey, you know what? Say, if you haven't heard from somebody a long period of time, reach out and say hi. How you guys doing? You need anything? What's up? Want to hang, like whatever. Like, good, dude. It means a lot to a lot of people, dude. You'd be surprised.
I don't think people realize the power that they have to influence somebody positively, just with a text, a phone call, something like that. And I think we get into the habit sometimes of just saying, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, and then we never do it. Or we think, there's going to be another time to hang out, and before you know it, you don't have that opportunity anymore. So,
yep, yeah, that's super important, man. Like I try my best now because like it's just I was so shocked. I'm like, dude, this is like especially now texting, dude. Like I'll sit like after we're done here, I'll sit on the couch for an hour, like you on Twitter and shit. Like you can fire out 20 texts in a matter of 3 minutes. Yep. So, just get if it doesn't apply to you, keep those in mind, around you. Let's see. I think it's hard for people to vent to others about being down, don't want to bring them down or burden them with negative thoughts. And Michael, I completely agree with you. And that is the biggest challenge, where you feel like you're going to be a burden to somebody or, bring them down. And what you're going to find out is when you reach out to somebody, for the most part, they're going to be able to relate to you and they're going to want to help you. The overwhelming response can be like, hey, I didn't know that. Let me let's talk about it. Right. I mean, that's been my experience, dude, where it's like people, like when I finally opened up to a really good friend of mine where I was like, dude, I have some really crazy shit going on. He's like, bro, no, he's come over, let's hang out. We sat down and talked for like 3 hours. And I felt so much better. So now I can do it whenever I want. But people are willing to help, man. And I think now more than ever, people are starting to understand that how problematic mental health issues are, that people are actually more understanding than we think they are.
Yeah, I mean, I always enjoy when somebody reaches out to me, as an opportunity, to be able to help somebody else out. I like doing that. But at the same time, I definitely relate to that comment because I'm the same way. When I'm going through those things, especially if it's something that I've been through, a dozen or more times and it hasn't changed at all, I'm not going to go to the same person and say, hey, the same shit's back again. Can you help me through it again? Like after the last time and the time before that, there's a certain point where you feel like, all right, maybe I am being a burden or I'm just being too negative. I got to get over it.
Yep.
I got to find my distraction, watch football, whatever else, and it'll pass like it always does. So I get where that comment's coming from though.
Yep, absolutely. Drinking made my anxiety worse. Yeah, I mean, there's times where it's like in the past, I would just get completely shit-faced and I'd be so miserable. I'm like, and then you wake up and you feel 30 times worse about everything. Because not only did the depression not go away, now you have a hangover and you feel bad about yourself because you drank like shit, you ate like shit, you don't feel good. You have even less motivation to do anything because you don't feel well. It actually makes things worse, man. It's just, I did it for a while, man. It was just completely counterproductive.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, this is someone close to me was sexually abused by her father. That's terrible. As a child, I would sit with her in therapy. She would be recounting horrible shit and smiling. A big smile doesn't mean someone is happy. That I cannot tell you how true that is, because as a person, like, we do radio shows, we do, we're teachers, we're coaches, we're all this shit. I could put on the happiest face to anybody and fool anybody for 3 hours. I can fool anybody.
Yep.
And the minute that I leave that room or click off this computer or whatever else, I can right back to being completely miserable. Like, I hate the entire world.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, once you've gone through it enough, you know how to kind of change your behavior or your mood or your appearance so that nobody can suspect anything. Whether it's just because you don't want to talk about it or you just don't want people knowing what you're going through, whatever it is, you know how to disguise yourself. You know how to hide it. Where, hey, I appear normal. I'm fine. I'm smiling. I'm good. Nobody would suspect a thing. But then, like you said, once you get into that place of isolation where you're around nobody, then it all comes back. And so, was that really productive? Kind of putting on that front where you didn't allow anybody in to help you.
No, that's an excellent point. Yeah, sometimes that smile doesn't mean shit. Have you tried Delta 8 THC CBD? I have not, but I can write it down though. I'm always willing to try something. The shit I'm taking now is just not doing it. I don't know what's doing it. It's just not working for me at all. Let's see here. What's we got here? This is something that a lot of people have told me to try, is meditation. A lot of people, I've never done it, but I've heard a lot about it. Have you ever tried it, Primetime?
I have not. I've heard a lot of good things about that. Yoga, just haven't done it.
Yep. My dad had prostate cancer. Oh man, I'm sorry, Vincent. And COVID and the lockdown. Yeah, it definitely does come in waves, man. It definitely comes in waves. Like Primetime said, there's peaks and valleys, but sometimes like the peaks are good, but the valleys always seem like 30 times worse than the peaks do. That's what you kind of dwell on. You don't enjoy the peak enough, but you sit in the valley way too long.
Bingo.
Let's see what we got here. Would you guys be open to having people talk about it? You guys can. I mean, obviously. I mean, we're not going to, obviously. I mean, I don't see why not. Let's see. Look up Delta 8 THC gummies. It's federally legal and is a bit more potent than CBD. My own. Dude, I wrote it down, man. I'll try for sure. Absolutely try
it out too.
Yeah, dude, I can. Let's see. Yep. Meditation. People have told me that. I've had a good friend of mine swears by it. So I definitely could look into that. He actually had an app he told me to look up too. Everybody's saying this, Primetime. Delta 8 THC. Where do you get it at? Is it you get it on Amazon? Where do you get it at? This will be my next question. Oops. What thing we got here? Never had anxiety or panic until Grant passed and all went crazy. I have it somewhat under control, but still get them. Sorry to hear that, man. It's not easy, but you just gotta, identify the triggers and try to find ways to help you get through them as fast as you can. And if not, reach out for help. Let's see. Is the Aframs in here? I've been working with my sleep is screwed up all the time. Stress, depression, it sucks. Now I have terrible sleep apnea and it's getting worse and worse. Yeah. But like when you have like depression and like stuff like that, and the sleep is the X factor, man. If you can't get sleep and you're like, it makes it like 5 times worse.
No, and that's always been like shit. That's always been the biggest problem for me. Getting like an actual, 6 to 7 hours sleep a night. Like if I ever get that, I feel great the next day. But I rarely get that kind of consistent straight through the night kind of sleep.
Let's see what we got here. If you're depressed and you're embarrassed to reach out to someone, look into Dr. Joe Dispenza and also Wim Hof. They're all about meditation, cold showers, and breathing method. Listen, man, I'd research anything at this point,
Try it out.
Because of this show, I'm a fan forever. Thank you. I'm sure it's not true though, because once Primetime talks Darnold, you're probably gonna hate us again. So,
or at least hate me.
It'll be short. It'll be short-lived, Blunty, but I assure you. Yeah, this is friends are the best. Mine are great. Understand me so much I could chat about anything. I think the whole step is getting to have that first conversation goes a long way. That first opening the door and just like, all right, get the elephant out of the room. Let me tell you what the hell this shit is and what I deal with. And then going forward be a much easier conversation to have. Had a great experience with a therapist. There you go, prime time. They did an amazing job listening, brought up some different solutions that I wouldn't have ever thought of. That's perfect, man. That's exactly what you want.
Or even if not a therapist, I mean, like between YouTube and the amount of content that's out there, if you just Google certain things, I mean, you can find articles and clips out there that would almost be, I think, the same thing as a therapist, just giving you a different perspective on whatever it is that you're thinking about or struggling with.
Yeah, I think it's really important to reiterate is like when you reach out to somebody, you're going to be surprised at how like understanding people are and how willing people are to help you. A lot of people can relate to this, man. They're scared to talk about it, but the reaction is going to be probably surprise you. Therapy is great. You just got to be completely honest, and you may not find the right therapist for your first try. So don't be afraid. Keep looking instead of writing it off. Yep,
I've heard that too. Yeah.
Yep. Keep finding until you find what you get. Keep looking until you get what you're looking for. Let's see here. We got. I'm someone who gets down when I'm not able to get to the gym. Working out has become important to me. Michael, I can tell you what, I'm in the gym 5 to 6 days a week with coaching and training. When the COVID started and the lockdown started, I was so out of sorts that, right? Because you're like your routine, like your all your escape mechanisms were done. Like you couldn't use them. Getting out of the house, we couldn't go to the house because we wouldn't go to shop, right? You couldn't go to the gym, you couldn't do anything. That was tough, man. Like I was running around schools, I was running down dark streets.
Well, not just that and like getting out, but like just the high that you get from whether it's running, a certain amount or
releasing the
putting in like
toxins
a hard
else.
workout. Yeah, I mean that automatically always makes me feel better. Anytime I push myself to actually do something like that.
That was rough, man. That was completely rough. What else we got here? Yes, this is big fan of David Goggins, man. Big fan of him. He keeps the shit real and he's very honest. He's very, very motivating. Mm-hmm. He's excellent, man. Gary Vee does a lot of really cool shit too. But David Goggins, and his story is phenomenal, man. He actually posted a video. He posted a picture today. You go on Instagram, look at his picture. It's him as a 23-year-old kid that was completely fat, out of shape, unmotivated, and lost in life. And look at him where he is now. So, let's see. Therapy may seem easier. Most therapists are doing sessions via Zoom. Very good point. That's a very good point too. You know, actually, that was the one thing that you always felt weird. Like if you go to a therapist, that somebody's going to see you going in the office and where is it? And like when you're sitting in the waiting room, everybody's looking at you, judging. Like, what's your issue? That's an excellent point, man. That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, me either.
This podcast has been fantastic during the pandemic. There were a lot of days waiting for the shows to talk to people in the chat. Yeah, dude, for us too, man. I was looking same boat we got here. Thoughts on what to do after graduating high school with getting a job? Oof.
Depends what you want to do, man. What do you love? What do you enjoy doing the most? Go after that. And even if it's not something that like you think you can get a job right out of, if you're planning on going to college, I don't know. Like kind of like what we do on this podcast. Like I didn't think I was going to get a job in journalism or sports writing, if I went to school for journalism, at least in the field that I love the most. So I chose the route with teaching that, would have me, getting paid 9 to 5, something that I also enjoy doing, but would also allow me the time after that job is over to go after something that I really love doing. So, it all depends what you want to do, but also, be able to make some money at the same time and be able to live a life that you enjoy. So.
Yeah, you got to try to find something that you genuinely enjoy too, man. It's hard to stick with a job that you like. I graduated an accounting degree, and like I hated accounting, but I did it to like kind of appease my parents. Like, oh, you're good with numbers, you got to become an accounnt. And I hated it, dude. I hated it with a passion. Yeah. It's like, why am I taking this job when I absolutely just despise doing it? So
it's only a matter of time before you burn out with jobs like that.
Yep, you guys are the realists. That seems pretty real.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hopefully sooner than later. We got, a lot of things are opening up, especially New Jersey, which is good, and New York. So hopefully it's much sooner rather than later. Let's see what we got here. Thoughts on getting sick while doing an activity and then avoiding the activity in fear of feeling sick again. I mean, I was there, man. I was making myself so anxious. I would avoid public meetings. I would avoid any kind of big public social gatherings. I would avoid all of that. I wouldn't do any of it. I was scared to go on job interviews. I was so freaked out.
My entire student teaching experience was pretty much that way. I was doing student teaching in public school Patterson, and a lot of kids that were going through a lot of stuff, a lot of behavioral issues, and it was very uncomfortable sometimes. And the more and more like I started going in, I was still having that anxiety after like the first few weeks. So then it just became more about preparing myself. What can I do more to prepare myself for everything that I'm going to encounter throughout the day, so that I'm not caught off guard, I'm not feeling anxious or caught by surprise by something. And so it didn't help with my sleep, but I would stay up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning most nights, just literally going over everything that could happen throughout the course of the day, checking through my lesson plans 2-3 times, and just having all sorts of notes ready to go. And I feel like the more you prepare yourself for whatever the situation is, the better you might feel. But I don't know exactly, I guess, what situation you're talking about, and if that would be applicable or not.
I had that. I would have myself, if I had to go like on a job interview or I had to do like any kind, dude, I would make myself literally go stir crazy. So what I would do is I would go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning and just like go on elliptical and just go as hard as I could for like 45 minutes and basically exhaust myself physically. So when I was just tired, so it relaxed me though. I'd be like, all right, like, cause your body was just like, dude, what the hell just happened to me? Like, I don't want, like, but it's just different. You just got to find different ways to do it, man, and kind of commit to yourself to try to get through it. It's not easy. It's by no means not easy.
No.
This is
sorry.
Oops.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna go back to that Valerian one.
Oh shit, I didn't see that one.
Yeah. Let's see. We need this one. I'll look for that comment though, because it was interesting to see this one.
It says this one says therapy saved me on third try. Breathing lessons saved me hard when people close to you can't relate, and definitely can't when they haven't gone through it. Breathing exercises would probably help. That's not something that I've really looked into, but
breathing exercises and meditation.
I'd be open to it. Yeah, any of that stuff I think would probably help.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of like being motivated enough to do like all these things.
Just gotta be motivated to just get out of that pattern, man. I have a lot of experience in it. You both said you can't fall asleep. Valerium is a plant extract. And man, I'll try it right down. I'll try it.
I'll fucking try anything.
Yeah, CBD is not good. CBD is not helping shit for me right now.
I tried it like once, didn't help me at all.
Let's see. Yeah, you guys help us get through this. Being alone for so long and not healthy. No, dude, these streams helped me a ton, man. Kept me like mentally and physically just active and just a good distraction. Let's see what we got here. No, dude, we're in the same boat, man. This, during a pandemic and lockdowns and quarantine, a lot of these things helped a lot of people, man. Not, helped us for sure. There's no doubt about that. What's up, Timothy? How you doing, man?
What's up, Tim?
Can't believe it's 10:30. These things just. No, thank you, Jesse. Thanks for watching. We weren't sure what was going to happen. I'm like, we're just going to do this, and Kevin, I'm with you. Going to be weird to get just back to normal life. I'm kind of anxious for when that happens.
Definitely nervous about that. Like we've kind of gotten into these patterns now for almost a year now, where like, what's there really to do? So I think, for somebody like myself who would tend to isolate anyway, when there was, things open and you could go out, I would still have those moments where I isolated. Well, now that isolation's kind of become routine, where it's like, all right, that's what everybody's doing. We're all, just kind of stuck in this and just, stuck inside. So can you break out of it and be able to get back to some kind of normalcy? I think it's going to be somewhat of a challenge, but I think we're all excited and a little anxious just to get out and have some fun a little bit.
Just reach out to anybody even guys here. We talk to each other a lot. Strike a friendship. I think we all, once we get the great tailgate to get us all together. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, like I said, you can always direct message us. Even our Twitter account, Talk Jets Radio. Send us an email. We've gotten plenty of them now already, and we try always to respond to pretty much everything, even the nasty emails we respond to. I know probably prime time does, but I always do. I don't care.
Depends how nasty it is. If it gets like too personal, I don't respond, but otherwise, I'll usually go back at people.
Yeah, especially late. I'm glad everybody. Shit, I don't reach out to people unless they reach out to me. Yeah, man, it's a text, man. People you haven't talked to in a while, just that little random text. You never know what the response is going to be. And it could help them. I'm telling you, it's one of my, I have like a couple regrets with that. It still bothers me to this day.
I have plenty of regrets with that. I think it's something that
Yeah.
we all acknowledge. At times we could be better with, especially with technology now. We're all connected on social media with our phones, like you said. There's no excuse not to, reach out to those people that you love or that are important to you.
Yep. I got more help from one comment with a friend's sister than I did in 2 years of holding it in. Keeping it inside is the absolute worst thing. It's true, dude.
Yeah.
Just it's confronting it, man. Just opening up about it it's like a burden relief. Like when you tell somebody about like the kind of shit you deal with, dude, it's like a huge burden coming off your shoulders. You're like, oh, I got it out. So now I don't have to fake it. I don't have to hide it. I can just talk about it, right?
Yep.
Like that's how I felt. I'm like, dude,
Yep.
thank God I can just say this shit. Or when I told you, I'm like, dude, now I'm like, I can text you, dude. I'm fucking struggling. Like it's just, it's a huge relief, man. So people in this chat are willing to help. Yeah, we are. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, UFCs, whatever. Even Snoopy will help. Let's see. That is, I'll tell you what, there was days when I'm like really like just going through some things. And I'll read the comments on our videos, dude. And sometimes it just, even the comments crack me up. And I'm like, oh, you know what? It kind of gets you out, like snaps you out of it. It can be a mean comment or a funny comment. It just kind of just gets you going somewhere else.
It's all a distraction. All helps.
Yep. Thank you, Flyaway. Definitely get this. A lot of mentions of this Delta 8. So we definitely got to try this prime time.
Definitely have to try it.
I don't know where it's from, but we definitely got. I direct messaged. Oh, Jets Talk Radio. It's Talk Jets Radio. So that's cool. So somebody got your text. It's probably not going to be us. Let's see.
So there's another Let's Talk Jets out there now.
Is there?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
What do they talk about?
I don't know. Probably Jets.
Oh, here you guys. I DM both you links on Twitter with the links.
Nice.
Dude, we appreciate it. Definitely
it
appreciate it. Yeah, I'll buy it. I'll try it. Let's see. Set a reminder on your phone. You can do that too. Let's see what else we got to do. A couple more. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, so this is like our kind of a serious one tonight. And tomorrow night we'll be back to our chaos with our debut of our season recap video, which I can only imagine what that's going to be like.
Get some Russell Wilson talk.
Yeah. Yeah, the lockdown's here, man. There's been some crazy stuff. Well, actually, what's crazy is I spoke to a friend of mine in the UK, and we had it, pretty bad in New Jersey. They've had it 3 times worse than us, man. The lockdown situations they have there are just wild, and it's so sad. Like they have no gyms, they have nothing for a long period of time. I'd be completely stir crazy. Let's see, do a couple more prime time. It's almost 10:30, and I still haven't had dinner yet.
Oof,
the gloves are off tomorrow. Oh, I know they are. Don't worry.
I promised Jose the gloves are coming off tomorrow.
They definitely aren't cooking. They aren't definitely cooking, playing guitars, or having kangaroos on that stream. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be complete wildness. I can assure you that. Let's see. Prime time, the weed doesn't help you sleep.
It used to. Now, not so much anymore.
Thanks, guys.
I'm better at not smoking so much either, but when I do,
I'm still trying to get over my divorce from 2 years ago, plus my dad having Alzheimer's, which moved from Seattle back to New York. This helps a lot. Viper, no problem, man. Hang in there. Stay strong. Sorry about that. Life's not always easy, man. It's definitely not. It hits us probably the most unexpected times too. It's just like it smacks you in the face. You're like, where the hell did this come from? And then you just gotta try to bounce back and regroup and realize you're not alone. There's always people want to help. Always.
Nothing fun about watching somebody you love go through Alzheimer's. That's
it's brutal. Let's see. So now we get into tomorrow. Are you rapping tomorrow?
Not yet. It's coming soon though, I promise. Like the betting videos.
Let's see. Exercise is good for anxiety. Cody with his jokes. So Cody's always got a good joke. So what I guess we'll do is we'll wrap this up. I guess we'll do this maybe once a week or every whatever we mood strikes, right?
Yeah. Whenever people need it, they want to reach out or whatever.
If you guys ever want to reach out, man, email, direct message, whatever you want, and then we'll keep doing these and just see how it goes. Just realize you're not alone, man, and speak out, and then reach out to people around you. You never know how far that little hello, that any little text message goes a long way. So That is it. Tomorrow night, we said, what, 8 o'clock?
Yep.
8 o'clock, and it's going to be interesting because it's our year-end review. So we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Have a good night.